Alright, so today we'll be talking about, is Shadow Monarch still worth buying? So first, let's see what is he good at and what is he bad at. So as you just saw in that first clip, Monarch is amazing for dimensions. He's easily the fastest character you can use, and here's why. Monarch's first ability is Dash, and it sends you flying, and with a cooldown reduction accessory on, I can get it every 3 seconds. Then there's his third ability, Dragon Fear, which resets your first one 4 times. Also, using a small skin makes you dash further, and using a big skin makes you dash shorter. Another reason why Monarch is so good, because he does a lot of DPS, so he's really good for killing bosses. And since he has 100% crit chance when using his ult, if you have a fruit or an assist available, you destroy bosses. And then finally for dimensions, there's Extreme Dimension. One of the reasons he's so good is because he has a lot of iframe or invincible frames. And the reason that's so good is because in Extreme Dimension the mobs do so much damage. And you only get 3 attempts, so staying alive is super important. Not only can you use his first ability to dash around the map and dodge attacks, it also gives you iframes so you have a higher chance of surviving. Monarch isn't the best for killing the bosses in Extreme Dimension, because once you use all of your abilities, they're all on cooldown. Monarch isn't good for having a continuous chain of damage. His abilities don't allow him to continuously attack. So that's why when it comes to killing bosses in Extreme Dimensions, there are better options. But overall, Monarch is one of the best characters for Extreme Dimensions in the game right now. Alright, so let's talk about Boss Rush. Monarch is amazing for Boss Rush. He's one of the best characters in the game for Boss Rush right now. Like I said earlier, Monarch has crazy good DPS, so he kills them super quick. Alright, so next is Speed Raid and Regular Raid. Of course, Monarch is amazing for Speed Raid. He destroys the bosses instantly. So now with Regular Raid, Monarch definitely is not the best for Regular Raid. Like I said before, his abilities don't allow him to continuously attack. So when it comes to doing a lot of damage over a long period of time, there are just better characters for that. But that doesn't mean that Monarch is bad. He's still definitely one of the strongest characters in the game for Raid right now, besides all of the other gacha characters. So in this raid right here, I got 69 rewards and done 214 billion damage. Now in terms of rewards, that's really good because I only missed out on 3. So when it comes to getting a lot of rewards, he's really good. But if you're trying to go for the highest amount of damage possible, he's not the best character. So all in all, Monarch is pretty good for raids. Unless you spend money to get him quicker, by the time you get him, you'll probably have better characters for raids. For example, most of the gacha characters right now are better than him. So like I just said, if you don't spend real money to get him earlier, you'll most definitely have better characters before you get him. Especially if they update the game and add characters that are better than him for raid. Alrighty, so next is Infinite. I had never really used Monarch for Infinite because I've had Garo for so long. And I was actually really surprised at how good he was. Now this was my first time using Monarch, so I'm sure I could have gotten quicker times, but Monarch was still really quick in the early waves, and especially in the later waves. During the middle waves, Monarch was still good, because all the mobs were still getting killed in one hit. Now who I normally use is Garo, and when it comes to these later waves, the mobs normally take a little bit of time to kill. Now since Monarch has more DPS than Garo, these later waves actually went quicker, using Monarch than Garo. But the overall time was slower because during the early waves, Monarch isn't as good as Garo or Sukuna. Now I know I was using 2 good assists and a good fruit, but that doesn't take away that Monarch is still a really good infinite character. Alright, and finally we have Time Challenge. Now I thought this was going to be something that Monarch was really bad at, but to my surprise he was actually amazing at it. When you have a cooldown reduction accessory equipped, his cooldowns are very low. Plus his first 3 abilities have pretty big AoEs, and then there's his ult and awakening, which also has an AoE of the entire map. And since he has such low cooldowns, you can get his abilities pretty consistent, and consistency for time challenge is super important. Because not only do you want to be able to kill them quickly, but you want to be able to kill them consistency to get the highest score possible. In this run here, I got a score of 1135, which is more than enough than the 750 you need in order to get the plus 5% boss damage from the stat bonus. So overall, Monarch is a very good time challenge character. And again, I know I was using very good assists and a very good fruit, but he's still a very good time challenge character. Alright, so that about sums up everything Monarch is good at and what he isn't good at. Turns out he isn't bad at anything. He's good at everything. He's the best at dimensions, he's on par with Ostaf for boss rush, and he's pretty much one of the best characters for every other game mode in the game. But he does have one major downside, and that's how long he takes to get. You can only get 275 speed raid tokens a week, and he costs 4,500 to buy and 2,500 to awaken. Which means if you want to get him without spending any real money, it'll take 25 weeks to buy him and awaken him. Which is an absurd amount of time, yes, but if you manage to save up, then I would highly recommend buying him. So yeah, that's it. The answer to is Monarch worth buying is yes. He is absolutely worth buying. Now if anybody actually watched up until this point, thank you so much, I really appreciate that. And if I get anything wrong, or if anybody has any questions, then please feel free to ask me or tell me. But yeah, that's it. Thank you again. Goodbye.